the fact that I'm a relatable dad doesn't mean you come into my house and living smoking weed.
No,
you get like, where do you draw the line? There still has to be like, this is what's not happening. This is what's so I'm going to put you on game. Make it relatable, but there's still rules and regulations. This is not a jungle.
What up, people? It's your favorite podcast man back again with another one. My name is Michael Shonariwo.
And I'm Mura Walgunkoya.
And you are here on Menisms, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We got a special guest with us. Now, you see, we are going to be doing things a little different on Menisms. You know, usually we always bring celebs, all that, fine. But we have a lot of friends in the city that are doing their own thing, whether they're entrepreneurs, whether they're businessmen, doctors, lawyers, anything, and they have their perspectives also. So we're going to start bringing some of our friends on the pod. And today is Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there around the world and the prospective fathers and the fathers in the future. But we have a special guest here today. I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell the world, who he is.
Hello guys, thanks for the very humble introduction. I'm Tobi Akinwunmi, the founder of Liquor. It's an on-demand alcohol delivery platform, open 24/7. You get alcohol for free within 30 minutes. Also have a background in entertainment, hospitality. I do my best really, but
honestly,
for those of you that don't know, all you Gen Z and Millennial, Copacabana, this is your guy. Exactly. You found out here. Yeah. But thank you for coming on, and make sure you subscribe to all the audio platforms we have: YouTube, Spotify, Apple. We appreciate you guys. So, Father's Day, how are you guys feeling? Nobody here is a father yet.
No, yet.
That we know of.
The way he's looking.
Please, I'm not
you're not on screen.
No. I mean, we're all hoping to be fathers one day, I imagine.
Amen.
One day.
Amen.
One day.
Not
today, but one day.
Soon for some.
One day.
But how do you guys feel?
But I feel like we've all been fathers one way or the other.
I've not been a father.
No, I think he means
a figure.
Yeah,
relax.
not literally.
As a figure.
Speaking of, during the show today, I'm going to ask a very interesting question to you guys. Actually, let's start it off. Let's start a little wild as we start Father's Day.
Okay.
So, obviously, we're not fathers yet, and we're going to have the talks about being fathers. But let me ask one controversial question. Have y'all ever almost been fathers as per... You got that?
Do you want to go first?
You got that text, or maybe I'll go first.
Okay.
Let's break the ice.
Okay.
So I had a scenario a long time ago, and this is actually what made me calm down. My final year of university, school's about to end. I've actually made it. I'm about to actually graduate. Then there was this girl I was messing with throughout the year on and off, and then I'd stopped by January. June came. I had a graduation party. Everybody came at the graduation party. This girl comes to me. I need to talk to you. I said, talk about what? I'm leaving school next week. So I'm out. There's nothing. No, I really need to talk to you. I'm like, oh, what? I was drunk. I went to go and follow her somewhere to walk. That's how she said, I didn't want to tell you because you're leaving, but yeah, I think I'm pregnant. And I just wanted to let you know, but I'm not keeping it. Mind you, this is during a house party. And I'm drunk. And so... obviously, the first thing is the panic and fear. So I said, so what do you want to do? So obviously, she said she's not keeping it. And long story short, this girl somehow still made me follow her to her house that same night. I was stupid too.
Oh my
because she made me
follow her to her house. Another one.
I spent the night still.
You would think you'd be traumatized.
I woke up the next morning, walked to my house. As soon as I entered my housemates and my boys are all there because they all spent the night at my house, bro. I just entered the room. I started crying.
Oh my God.
When I said broke down crying, because the only thing I could just see my mother's image and my grandmother's face saying, what do I tell them? We actually made it to graduation.
Uni.
But I now found out. But then obviously later on, like by the time I tell my boys that day, we do our investigation, come to find out like she was lying about it. So basically the guy that basically could have been the father, she confronted him and the guy almost decked her.
Right.
So
she went for the
next one was now me.
Right,
and then we now found out about her past, all that stuff, that it was just like, that was like a clarity moment for me.
That's crazy.
And let me bust your head.
Because that could have changed
in my
master's
master's year, imagine a year later, I'm in another school and we're just talking about experiences. So I bring it up. One of the girls now looks at me and says, this story sounds familiar. Does the girl look like this? And describes her and says, oh my God, not you too. As far as she does it,
She
she has
does
done
it-
it to guys in her area.
Oh wow.
This is crazy.
So that's our scam. That's her racket.
that shit woke me up.
And this is crazy because there are some people that are fathers today because of that and celebrating Father's Day, but not really because they were not even.
Bro, that's why
they
I
don't
said
even
when
know
we
if they're
made
the actual
TikTok
fathers.
when I made that TikTok that time about I'm not a father at 30. Like
It's
you
a
think
real
about
thing.
how many
It's
of my
true. It's a
boys,
real
like I have
thing.
a godfather right now. My boy I have a 2-year-old godson.
Right.
Honestly, it's
That's
fav-
crazy.
it's
What
favor-
about
it's
you guys?
favor.
I mean, to be honest, I've obviously had pregnancy scares with my previous partner. But it was never really anything crazy. So again, I guess because we were dating, actively dating, it didn't come as a shock because we knew we were both the responsible people, regarding that. And one thing after another, maybe you should forget to take the pill, and then to get too late and stuff like that. But it never got to the point of like actual pregnancy, and so I've never had that someone is pregnant for me, and it's never really gone that far.
What about you?
Same, man.
It's
Same.
never
There've
really
been pregnancy
gone that far.
scares where people are like, "Oh yeah, oh my period is late," that sort of thing. But apart from that, I haven't reached the one you don't experience.
And to be honest, even that scare we're talking about is not scary. It's
Come on.
scare.
Ever
You
since
would
that day, you don't understand.
You'd
If
be
I had
afraid.
a serious partner, even myself, I calculate the dates. What day you're supposed to take the pill on this day? Did you take it today? You've not taken it. But fair enough. At least thank God, like we say. But
Yeah.
I think you had a question you wanted to read
So
out.
we do have a question as usual. So this week we have somewhat interesting question.
And make sure you guys keep sending it to the pod. And then a quick thing. I actually have been talking to people on the streets. Some people say they've been wanting to send questions or dilemmas to us, but they've been scared to because they think we read it beforehand.
Oh,
And
right.
But everything you guys send is anonymous.
Yeah.
Just send it to the Menisms pod on Instagram. Sometimes you can even send an email. Send it as a comment even. And then
Yeah.
our team is the one that picks them and we read them live for the first time.
For the first time, because I literally when we're calling out the names, we have no idea. Who we're
Anonymous.
calling, yeah.
Everything is anonymous.
Yeah. All right. So this is from Lucia. It says, "Hi guys, good day. Please, I'd like to ask a question relating to relationships. So I have been dating my boyfriend for 3 years now. We've been in a long distance relationship for 18 months. The thing is, my boyfriend has never gotten me anything for my birthday, our anniversary, Valentine's, or any occasion in these 3 years. And if I complain about it, he ghosts me. Or he tells me that those events happen when wait, what? He ghosts me and then he complains or he tells me that those events happened when he was not in Nigeria, so there was no way he could celebrate it. If I ask for money for really important things, he tells me he would give me, but then when it gets to giving me, he comes up with some excuse not to. He can go days without talking to me and a whole lot of stuff. What I'm asking is, as guys, what would you advise I do? Break up with him, or am I asking too much from someone who is not my husband yet?
I'll let you,
First
you
of
guys
all,
go
that was
first.
a
We'll
lot
go
of
around.
unpacking, but do you wanna go
Yeah,
first?
man, it's giving red flag. Oh.
It's heavy red flag. I fully agree.
giving-
No
It's-
gift in
it's-
3 years.
It's bright red flag.
And
That
he
is
says
serious.
his excuse is he's never around Nigeria. And then when she brings it up, he ghosts. And then when she complains about other stuff, he says, well. So again, I feel like I'm sorry to have to, break the camel's back with this one, but he's probably seeing somebody else.
Oh,
He
God.
probably has.
It's
I don't
Not
think she's the
probably.
main
It's
girlfriend.
not probably. He is.
Yeah, side
I don't
That's
think
a
she's the
side
main
Because
girlfriend.
any guy
What's
knows
her name?
that.
Julian? What's her name?
Lucia.
Lucian. Sorry, man. You're a side.
Yeah. I don't
Any
think
any
she's
guy
the main
knows
girlfriend.
that if a babe is your babe, even if you don't have the bar, you'll find
You'll
it
still make
you'll
efforts,
find
yeah.
even if it's a small gift, you must give her something and say, "This is my babe." Okay, at least here's something. But if it's like I don't give you anything, you're not my babe then.
In fact,
Yeah.
see, for her to even get to the point that she has to drop a question and get some personal opinions, it means it's gotten to its peak. It means it's gotten to.
It's gone on for a while.
I need to get a second opinion on this because clearly we're not the first people she's bringing this to. She's probably talked to her friends about it. So she just wants to understand, like, as guys, what do guys think? Do you understand? And personally, he has a main babe. That main babe takes his time, takes his efforts. Because the truth is,
No, but I even have, so I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think even these days, some guys, I mean, I wouldn't know.
They will
But some
still
guys
do
are
more
taking care of their side babes.
Which
yo.
is true. Which is why I'm like, she might not even be side 2.
So if that
She
guy
might
is
be
even
like
not
side
even
5.
giving you anything for your birthday,
she might be side 5.
no.
No, man, I respect guys that can do, not respect in the literal sense, but respect as well. Taking care of one girl is already stressful and hard
Yeah.
enough. So imagine doing 1, 2, 3, all in different areas.
But you know, it's a value thing.
What do you
So guys will take care of someone they see value in. The value might not even be the physical, she looks hot, everything. The value can even be, for this particular, whenever I talk to her, my brain opens up.
It stimulates.
Do you get? Or it could even be that she's very caring, so she's the kind of person I go to when, the
Had a
madness
long
of the
day.
world, I put it to one side and I just go to her. They see something, there's always a value in that side babe. And that's why they will take care of that side babe.
Time out. Can you hate yourself?
I'm sorry, but this is the reality of
I
that.
said this guy gets.
So the main babe now, all the problems you just said, is that not the role of the main babe?
no,
You
no.
just said, no, when the problems
No. So, have you heard about the 80-20 rule?
Exactly.
Have you heard of that?
I want to
Of course,
hear. No, I'm
exactly.
interested.
So it's like I think it goes like this, that when people cheat, so when they find like a partner outside, right? We're assuming that the girlfriend or the wife they have gives them 80% of everything they want, right? Now the other 20 that is lacking, they find it
in the
outside.
Exactly.
Now some people make the mistake to then assume that because the other person giving them 20%, it is now 100.
Because they've
Right.
lost in the other 80. They don't know what the other 80 looks like.
But actually, it's still always going to be 20 because
Exactly.
it's just that 20 that they felt was missing in their initial 80 that they
they've
found
looked for,
there.
yeah.
So some people stupidly then make the switch and then they actually left with 20% of
So,
100.
I mean, it trails from a lot of things. It
Yeah.
trails from why a guy is even deciding to date his main girl. And because a lot of guys that are dating for a wife don't necessarily look for physical anymore. They look for, is she a good wife to my children? Can I leave her in the house to take care? So then the physical now becomes the 20 because the 80 is the wife material. And so when that is sorted, when
But
that
you
is
know the
sorted
funny
out,
thing, even if you get a wife that's a baddie, I guess I don't know. I don't want to speak for women because I'm not a woman, but I'm saying for men. Even if your wife is a baddie, you're still going to see other baddies. I mean, because you
Always
just said
be-
the 20. Because you
yeah,
just said
that's
that
life.
about 20 can be for the looks. But if your wife is not a baddie, are you still doing
20.
that?
Now
20
let me
for the
let me also
looks?
say 20 will now see men are very fascinating. I like it. I'll say it. Because like you said, your woman can be a baddie, right? But it can just be that. I'm saying this from conversations I've had with other guys, right? And
Right.
it can be that again. I'll use
Right.
take my word for it.
All right.
Sort of. And so the 20 in that situation could be that your babe is a hot babe 80%, but you like your women a little small belly. You want small belly. Wait till. And she's too perfect. She's too flat stomach, flat
God.
this.
Wait, this one, but you mean like
diva.
you want that to have a full power?
It's
Like,
too far. There we go.
You need that.
There we go. Now,
Meat. He knows.
because she's also like hot body, everything. Maybe it comes with a bit of diva behavior. Or let's even say it doesn't. Let's say she's actually okay. She's just hot body, but you're like, yeah, but her stomach is too flat. I want full power. Wait. This is how the brains of men work. And then you meet someone who now has that. It could even be that she's exactly like your wife's shape.
No, she just has that
But-
carry on.
Oh my goodness. That now becomes the 20. So can you see how they both fall under the physical category, but they're still a 20. Men would always find that. See, but the difference is that a lot of men would not capitalize on looking for the 20. We are satisfied with the 80 and we're like, what is the 80? I'm good. Because me too as I am, I'm an 80 to her.
I'm 80.
She too can decide to go and look for 120.
True.
So let's all just say, okay, 80 is what we're going to work with. 80 is good enough. We can survive. Nobody's trying to get 100% in the whole assignment. Let's do 80. We can go home with it. And so in her case, honestly, I'll say again, like we've all just said, I don't think she's the main girlfriend. And this is actually kind of ironic because she's talking about breaking up. I mean, he's probably there like,
You don't have a relationship to break up
As
from.
in- No,
So
but
I'm just here like,
men are
damn.
bastards because if she now tries to break up with him, we
Oh,
have
yeah,
that
he's gonna
ego
fight
that
it.
It's like, where are you going?
He's gonna
He's a
fight it.
toxic.
He's
It's
gonna
a very
fight it.
toxic
guy.
trait too.
He's
Like,
gonna fight
where
it.
are you going?
Because for him to even be giving her the respect to even explain things like, because I'm in Nigeria, he sees a bit of value in her, right? But I think, like I said, she's probably not side number 2 or 3 because
You would have gotten a gift.
if his excuse is that I'm not in Nigeria, we can't celebrate it. What?
Even cupcakes, like
See,
Yeah, some low-hanging fruits
let me
now.
even tell you, right? I can even understand.
Even send her money itself. Say, yeah, whatever you want to do, I'll pay for it.
And then, according to what she's also said, every time she asks for money, he gives an excuse. He says he's going to do it, then he gives an excuse when the time comes. Again. And she says important things, which I assume maybe it's like some kind of bill she needs to sort out at the go. And, she's clearly not asking for money off him, but for those, certain payments. And he's still not coming through. I'm sorry, but you're not the main. You're not even side number 2 or 3. Like I think you're a little lower on the chart.
I think although most of us have been on the other side where we've been that guy in some capacity and we've benefited from it.
Right.
The truth is now where she's at, the standards you set is what you're going to be treated.
Yeah.
If you're allowing the guy, first birthday, this one is always dulling and you stay there, he's always going to keep dulling.
Imagine when you get married, what really changes?
So,
nothing. In fact, you're stuck with it now for life.
He's seen what you can tolerate and he's like, okay, you know what? I will set my boundaries based on this. And I'll be like, you know what? I will define the relationship based on this. The minute he knows that you can't have it, he'll sit up.
Well, lady, you've heard from us and to other ladies, if your man is not getting you any gift at all throughout the time, please, you are not a girlfriend. You are just there.
Yeah.
You are there.
And also, we know that this is us also not telling you break up with him. Because again, you know how they
not
say...
that they're going to say it's menacing
not
people
just
that want to go and say...
And you know how they also say that you can't really tell people in love what to do because they will still do what is in their head. So, we've given you our piece. I think what you should do is sit him down and have some questions that would actually help you define the kind of relationship you have with him. There are some questions that will just put him on the spot. If he does that whole ghosting thing again, I'm sorry, but walk away. You definitely deserve better. Yeah, that's my own person.
Hey, you've heard it here on the pod, ladies and gentlemen. Again, send your dilemmas. Do we have any more? We good?
But yeah, I think that's all for this week. Yeah.
Thank you, madam, because that you really brought back some. I even just thought about it. I was like, she's suffering because even me, my single days, even the girls that I was, at least
you
somebody,
were still at least something.
Effort, like at least let me
even if it's physical show up. Like let me just physically show up. Like let me just are you doing something? Let me just come by your house and just be there. Company
stuff out here.
So again, today's Father's Day, guys. Happy Father's Day to all the men out there. We want to just talk a bit about Father's Day. We have some questions that we're going to talk about concerning Father's Day. So even if you're not a father, I'm sure these questions, Jesus.
Wow, too much nines. Too much nines.
You need a holiday.
Let me tell you the irony in this. He's been talking about loving Igbo women. Igbo women and this. Now
questions.
Now look at
questions.
Anyway,
questions, sorry. We have some questions that I'm sure a lot of you guys that are wanting to be fathers will be able to relate to. So the first question is, what type of father do you want to be?
I think all three of us can go on that.
I know for me, I'll start up. For me, I'm going to be that cool dad. Because for me, I always say this joke. I'm doing, shut up. I don't know why you
See, let him know.
No, do you know why? Because I always say this joke now, saying I'm doing what I do now in terms of my street rep. So that way, when my child is older now, your daddy is Shonario.
This person's kid.
You're saying, like, okay. Like, you're said, dead. Okay, so you already have some leverage now. When you enter streets, they go, no. But then,
fair enough.
I've been thinking about it as I got older now, like, okay, if I have a daughter, how's it going to be? If I have a son. So, like, if I have a daughter, I want to be her best friend in terms of I've been a playboy. In fact, I was a poster boy at one point. So I want to give you the game straight up. I will tell you what it is. I will take you. In fact, I saw this thing recently. A girl was saying that, I don't know about if I'll do this one, but it was just crazy to see. A girl was like, her dad is the one that buys her weed for her. Now, you see, wait, no. You see,
not the Nigerian in you, like, man was like, sorry.
This guy already canceled the kind of father is going to be. Go and meet your mother, please. Go.
He's given in this house.
In this house?
In this house.
No, but fair you know enough. Why? It was funny when I read that. At first, obviously, the Nigerian was like, but then I thought about it in like my own life and what I've done. Do I want another guy giving my daughter Igbo or something? Or if there's vices, like, not even just Igbo, that's extreme. Let's say even alcohol, things like that, when she's of age.
Even
do I want to be the first one to introduce her to it so I can say, look, this is how it is. These are going to be your limits. This is how it be. Because let's think about it. For us, now, I don't know about you guys. The first time you're trying stuff out with your peers, nobody knows their limit there. Everybody just try. Compared to as a parent, a lot of our parents were so scared to show us the negative things of the world that we had to go figure it out ourselves. Compared to if you had those talks with your child early or even showed them, when they now are put into the public, like when they go to university now, you're not going crazy, going wild. Because let's not lie, I'm sure all of us in school, you saw people that used to go wild when they get in university because your parents were so strict. But I mean, what about you guys? What do you?
I mean, so for me, So first of all, fully agree, because the thing about like my children, that's one thing I definitely don't. I don't want my children to have to pick up a lot of things outside of my home. Like I'd rather teach them, if I can, 60 to 70% of what they need to know. Of course, you can't teach them everything because the eras change.
Yeah.
What we knew then, but there's some things that are still constant, you know. Some things that still are kind of like, you know, a big umbrella, whatever era you're in, you know. But I would definitely want to give them like free game. Even that thing of weed, to be honest, right? I won't give my child weed. No.
Exactly.
I mean, that's also,
I won't, right? I won't. I'm sorry, right? But I would let them understand that these are things that exist in the world.
Yeah.
And they should not, when it gets to the point where they find themselves in that position, they should think, you know, with all of their faculty. And
at
just
least they have information
on
not
that,
it's, this
exactly.
is the first time. What's
so,
this?
so that way, that adventure spirit in them is not like trying to, like you said, cross the limits. Now that they know there's this thing that has these effects, you know, you've already set some kind of fear in there where now it's like, okay, they want to take it, but just a little bit. No, but because the truth is that I meet a lot of young people who are very unrealistic. My child, he can never say, I said, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Just close your eyes like this. He's gone for that party. He's already done. You see, the fear is that the lack of knowledge they would walk in with would just give them, like you said, that limit thing is
that
really where it is.
curiosity too.
Yeah.
Just human beings. We're
And
curious.
you know the worst part is that because they're doing with their peers, competition will not enter. Okay,
Who
who
can
can do 3 jags? Who can do 4? See you now,
bet
you've
you can
only
do
done
this.
one. Take another one. And you're there under pressure. You have no information to work with. Meanwhile, if your father is bringing it to you, see, first of all, they will always tell you, take another jag.
Did you go to university in the UK?
Yeah.
You went to do your master's in the UK. Do you remember like when you go out drinking and the Igbo people will be there singing Sultry like, oh, take a drink. Oh, and there's that singing.
You like you drink with it.
Yes, sir.
See, and the thing is, it was part of the culture then. So
Yeah.
you not drinking, you're like the uncle guy.
Yeah,
You're like
soft.
you get what I'm saying? So imagine being under that pressure, but having no foundation to really hold yourself back and say, "Oh, guys, I'm fine."
Yeah.
Because your peers are also saying, are we not the same ones drinking with you? Meanwhile, you guys are finding it. Imagine hearing that your child woke up drunk on the street the next day. Like, you start thinking to yourself, okay, maybe I should have given him this alcohol.
Where did I
tips.
go wrong?
Exactly, you know. So I definitely want to be that father who my children know they can come to me with that first curiosity. I saw this online. What do you think about this? I want to be that father, definitely.
What about you?
I think I want to be a relatable dad, man. So it's similar to what you said about being a cool dad, but relatable in the sense that they see me as a friend. So as similar to what you said, I'm not going to give them weed, but all this, like, I think so many things are like stigmatized, right? Like when we're kids, they're like, oh, bar beach, for instance. Just the beach. But it's like, don't go by the water. You'll die.
So
You know what's funny? I went away.
This is so
recently,
real, man.
right?
So real.
With my wife as part of our honeymoon. And then we sent my mom some pictures. Keep in mind, I'm a married man with my wife. I sent my mom, she saw that we went to the beach and she called. And she was like, why would you guys go? And she was losing it. And we're like, first of all, we were wearing life jackets. Do you get? So there's still that stigma, right? I don't want it to be that way because it doesn't have to be that way, right? When you put like the stigma around things, it tends to actually make people really afraid. And when they actually come in contact with that thing, it can have a counter effect on them, right?
Fair.
There are certain people that from the jump, their parents are like, weed isn't good, though. But they were like, don't ever do weed in your life, it'll kill you, right? There's a big difference. You find a lot of people that when they grew up and their parents are like, don't ever do this thing, it's bad, it's terrible, it's for the devil. When they actually do it, they are the ones that are actually hooked on that thing.
Yep.
As opposed to the people who are just told like, this thing is not good, Sha. Don't do it. So, do you get what I mean? So in terms of the parents, and I would like to be that person that is more like relatable, telling you how it is.
Right.
Without literally putting fear in. You know, like, don't do this thing, it's not good though. But this is what it is.
You know, I really feel like our generation of guys have been, I don't want to use the word traumatized by our parents, but there's a lot that our parents did that we just saw like, there's no way I'm carrying this to my children, right? Because they were strict. But after we got to experience a lot of things they were strict about, you know, like, so this is what you were shouting and saying every day. You're not, okay, think about like what it took you to go out for a party, like a late night party, you're going out, you come back in the morning. They made you feel like you are the devil's child if you are coming back by 4:00.
So for me, I get it in a way because like when I grew up, when I was in America now, my mom never let me go for any of my parties with my friends and all that. Now that I'm older, I thank her because it's weird. When I came to Nigeria, if I was going out to like from teenage years when we used to go to Bacchus, all these places, she would let me. But in America, she never let me. And I always used to fight her about it. But then it's like, as I've gotten older now and see the American culture now, I'm just like, maybe it's best because it only takes one party for something to happen. And things did happen. Compared to Nigeria now, like her thinking is Nige, the children that are there, I know their parents, even
parents,
that
it's
they club.
safer.
Okay, yeah,
There's a
yeah.
safer thing. And to be honest, let him go. I think her thinking then was like, he is 17, 18. Let him go early. So that way, if he goes early, it gets it out his system early. Because there's some people now, they don't start going clubbing or anything till like 25.
So that's even miserable. We'll get to that, Scott.
But it's like they don't go till 25. The next you know is like 25. You're trying to relive all your youth and all that. By 25,
Otilo.
This was somewhat my reality because I had like bits and pieces of nightlife in my teenagers, but I literally mean bits and pieces. Like if it wasn't this, in fact, I think it was just because house parties were more a thing, somebody would do a birthday thing. So there was more that and pool parties than clubs when we were teenagers. That was what kind of thing. But when it came to the club part and people were going to club, I was like, I can't even bring this. I don't even know how to bring this up to my parents that I'm going to be out and back by. So I never even bothered to start with, right? And then it doesn't help that I'm a first son. So it's like, you want to set an example for your brothers. You want to do, so
what
it took
number,
me...
Sorry, side note, what number are you?
Just second of two.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Second of two.
So I couldn't experience nightlife and stuff like that until much older, until the age was the reason I could experience it. Until he's actually old enough. Do you understand? And so at that point, everybody else had done it. They were already used to it. I was just kind of getting into the groove of it. I guess I was just lucky that it wasn't really my thing. Else I would have now been all those people who in my mid-40s, I still want to be doing club, everything. I guess luckily it just wasn't my thing. But at the point I had broken into it, I feel like my parents should have let me a lot earlier because I was now experiencing the thing. I was being irresponsible in some things that I knew in retrospect that I'm too old for this. Like I shouldn't be making these mistakes at this age because it's my brother's friends, my brother's friends that are making these mistakes.
Fair.
How can I be coming back to the home drunk?
Because it's also your first time now.
Exactly. Do you understand? So I had my reservations on that because fine, they wanted to protect and be strict and whatnot, but like you said, it was now counterproductive. It now really, had its ripple effect in a negative way in that, I now didn't know how to, because I was battling two things. I should already know. I wanted to look cool in front of my friends. So the ones who have already experienced it at my age already know what to do. I want to act like I know what to do, but I don't, right? And so everybody's holding their alcohol. I'm like, nah, I know how to hold my alcohol too, but I don't. You understand? And so I'm just here like trying to party, and even when they say, oh, yeah, we're going to go to this club next. I even had no idea about club hopping, that we start with this place, end with this place, go to pre-drinks. So many things I wasn't used to.
You know what's funny? You just put the thoughts in my head. I was for both of you, remember?
Yeah.
But I feel like to me, 57 was my training ground, man.
I'm dead. You said I was training ground.
It was my training
I
ground.
remember. So the first time I went, so back then I used to throw parties too.
Okay.
Right.
For me, it was Bacchus though.
So Bacchus, we threw one party at Bacchus. Then also when Piccolo Mondo was a thing.
I've not heard that
damn.
name. So,
Piccolo Mondo.
this
guy
guy
will
just
show at
opened
30
some
plus
old
way,
ones.
man. I saw Gen I'll be like, what?
So what did they call it now? What is the
I wouldn't even know.
I
That's
don't
the
even
thing.
know. I don't even know.
Piccolo
what
Mondo is
Where
that
was
place
it?
under Izenagi now.
remember names.
What do
I
they
just
call it
remember
now?
Piccolo
What do they
Mondo,
call
but-
it now? I've forgotten what they call it now.
It's owned by the guys that own Blowfish.
We'll get to
I
it.
forgot
We'll
what
get
it's
to
called
it.
now.
We'll
I
get to it.
forgot what it's called now. Yeah.
So those were like my first. Then Rehab was probably the first.
See, let me
time
tell
I
you,
went.
Rehab,
yeah.
Tribeca.
That year.
Yeah, Rehab was
Those
the first
two.
place I think I went.
I think
Yeah.
rehab. I had my most heartbreaking memories in rehab. And when I say heartbreaking, like I said, I was just starting. In fact, my first phone got stolen.
Oh,
in
wow.
rehab. Then it was still damn. I feel like if I say this, I would expose my real age. But this was at the time when the Bold One had just come out. The BlackBerry Bold One.
yeah, BlackBerry.
BlackBerry Bold One had just come out, and I was coming out to the club. I was done, and was it nightlife, everything. Then some guy was now like, "Oh yeah, just bro, I beg, I need you to just drop me off by the junction." No, I was tipsy, right? I was tipsy. So in my mind, also tipsy plus nice guy is not a good combination at all. Because I was thinking, okay, this guy needs help. Let me just drop him off. Now listen to this, though. And then for some reason, surprisingly, he says, "Oh no, it's fine. I'll just drop at the junction." Remember, I'm tipsy, so I'm not even recalling that the junction is literally just in front of where I parked.
Yeah.
So I dropped off, and then he came down, and I went. I got home, and I'm like,
Easy. No time.
That's why I said,
But
nice
what's funny?
one.
Now, let me ask you a question relating to that. Like, you see, this is why I say the kind of parent you're going to be, because if your popsy now give you that kind of game early,
Bro, my
saying,
brain would
when
have
you
been
go
away.
out, oh, there are guys like this that you have to watch out for, but you have to not experience it because your parents did. Are you guys now going to give that kind of info to your kids when they go out? Like, yo, when you go out, oh, there's kind of people, oh. Or are you going to let them experience it for
So
themselves?
you know what's funny, right? My dad is that kind of person, but my mom isn't. And so I feel like she kind of stopped him from encouraging. So to her, him giving us the tea was encouraging the behavior. But then when she got to see that it was now like damage control, she now had to let him. Because it was later than my dad. There was one day my brother came back home drunk. And you know, this one, I knew why he was drunk. He was also trying to do the same thing. Me and my guys, so he was the youngest of the crowd. And you know, again, like I said, trying to show out.
I have to.
He was not,
That's
bro.
always,
He downed a full glass of Henny straight, and I mean full glass.
And this was
Barely
back
any
then.
ice. This was back then. This was like, well, maybe like
Henny was Henny.
This was like 2014, 2013. Took it. This was like E-bar. We were doing pre-drinks. We're supposed to go to. I think we're supposed to go to sip after. I can't remember. Downed it. No, we're going to liquid after. He downed. I just looked at him like this. Of course, it's not going to take effect immediately now. But like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, my guy was staggering. I had to tell my guy that, see, let me just go drop it. He can't make it. Let me just go drop my home. As soon as we got home, you know, my dad's the one who opened the door. Now, we already knew my dad was cool people, right? But he just never gave us tea because for obvious reasons. Then that day, he was not like, he's drunk already. Now, what? But you guys didn't mix with Sprite or anything. I said,
Is that a scoop?
wait. Mix with Sprite. What are you not telling us that you already know? You get? And it was at that moment I'm like, wait, this guy actually has a lot of tea he could have given us prior to. Because imagine him telling us, if you're going to go out, I know you'll be tempted to do straight because you think the alcohol is not that strong, but it will fuck your shit up.
Yeah.
Right. Start with mixers. Get into it. Or if you're going to do straight, but small sips. Small sips. When you get to where you're going, you would know by that time. Sorry, if I had that information to go, you know what? As I'm sipping, I would even be like more cautious. I'll be waiting. Wait, is it now? Am I feeling anything yet? Do you get? Am I feeling anything yet? Once I just feel a little, I'm like, this must be what he's talking about. But I had no idea. You know, he had no idea what to work with. My brother was out cold. I mean, out cold.
I mean, what about you? Did your popsy give you game earlier, or you figured it out?
No, actually. So what I'll say is what my parents did for me was they gave me the freedom in terms of like they allowed us to go out, go for the parties, etc. So that way, when I then eventually had the freedom in university or A levels, I wasn't like too excited.
Fair.
Because in Lagos, my parents will allow me to go for parties. They'll let me sleep over at his friend's house, do this, do that, etc. But in terms of like drinking, no. I didn't know. There was no conversation about that.
Which is ironic that he now runs a drink.
Yeah.
So
I think I just learnt it on the move. Really.
So
Yeah,
I had, luckily for me, I had older cousins. Like my older cousins were the ones that like took me everywhere. So a lot of my older cousins used to run like the events here, and even if they didn't, they used to go to all the events. So every trial and error I had, whether it was women, whether it was drink. In fact, I learned everything from them. I'll just be watching them do. I'll try my own feel. But
older cousins were the realest. There's no,
I love them. Shout out to my cousins. You know who you are.
Shout out
like
to my cousins.
My cousins, I feel like older cousins used to come through, man.
Like, cause for me, like I didn't grow up with my popsy, so it was like my momsy now was the one that she gave me a lot of game, but my older cousins gave me like the man game. Like especially, I tell people like with women now, it came from them because I was like the baby. You know when you're like the baby of the group. Like I'm the firstborn in my family,
but you're still quite young.
Now,
baby
I'm
under
the
the
youngest now. So every little thing, they'll see me do stuff. You don't see all of them laugh. Like I remember, oh my God. See, you know when you just think of something, you're embarrassed now. So there was this one time now, we went to, I'm about to show my 30 plus age. What's the name of that club that was a club in VI? Escape.
Okay. Escape.
Do you remember Escape?
Now Chandelier.
So I remember like one time I went to Escape and there were these beautiful girls out there. They joined our table. They danced, they enjoyed. Eventually I told my cousins like, yo, I want to talk to her. Like, hey, go ahead now. They just said, go ahead. So I went to go and talk to her and all that. So I'm having conversation for a few minutes. Next thing you know now, I just see one Egbon just go like this to the girl.
Set up.
The girl just went like this to me. Oh, it was nice talking to you. Tap my shoulder.
Damn.
And then they now looking at me like, I'm just confused. Like, the what? They just said, oh, yeah, come. And that's when they'll start giving me the game on everything now. So it's like from that trial and error now, I'll now be remembering things. Remember what they said. So it's like, that's why I said, like, for me, I want to be that kind of popsy, whether daughter or son. Like, especially, if I have a son, we're going to have fun.
But I have a question, though. So would you say that this version of a father that you want to be now is who you've always wanted, is the version of fatherhood you've always wanted to have with your
Experience.
children. Because in my case, about 5 years ago, or even a little more, I think I was telling myself that I wanted to be a strict dad, just a little stricter than I am now. Particularly because I felt that, of course, again, I've seen the effects of being strict and how it could have its negative side. But at the same time, I also felt that Niger is not really that place you want. So you see, Niger is not a place where you have the kind of structure you would have in other parts of the world where transport is kind of, reassuring, where you know that you can call the police and, your emergency can be attended to almost immediately. So I felt like maybe the kind of father I wanted wasn't going to be the kind I would be able to execute in Niger as a location. Right, because I can't imagine being this. Oh yeah, you just go have fun, and then you hear something like, "Oh, there's been an accident here." Emergency is not going to come and meet you until that's happened.
Yeah.
You can't even. And at that time, GPS wasn't even a thing where you could just always easily share location, share it. So now it's easier to share me. So at that time, I would easily say that, yeah, I still want to have that. Be strict, talk to me, but
You have to give it. At least I'll give Nige credit. And it's not really Nige, it's just, I guess, the world adapting.
Yeah.
If you are thinking that now, imagine our parents were thinking 20 years
20
ago
which is
down
why-
there that there was nothing.
Yeah, which is why I said I understand
Compared
where
to
they were
now
coming
that
from.
we-
Funny enough, now that you bring that up, so I'm not even saying that, okay, because I want to be relatable, I'm not going to be strict. Do you get
Why not to bring it back? Like, let me tell you.
See, this
my
guy
dad
didn't
is
right.
right.
So for the first time, I said,
because I think there's also like you have to find the balance.
Yes, of
I agree.
course.
Right? The fact that I'm a relatable dad doesn't mean you come into my house and living smoking weed.
No,
You
I
get
didn't
like,
say that. No,
where do you draw the line? There still has to be
I get what
like,
you mean.
yo,
Limits
this
and
is what's not
boundaries.
happening. This is what's so I'm going to put you on game and you're relatable, but there's still rules and regulations. This is not a jungle.
Yeah.
As I said, my parents here, they were very flexible and very fair, and I came out okay.
Yeah.
But they still had rules and regulations.
what would you say? What would you say would be possibly your most difficult part of being a father? Like, I imagine that you would have thought about something. You'd be like,
I think
I'm not
for
sure how
me-
I'm gonna handle
for
this.
me, my not in my past in a bad way. Like, I'm not hiding anything. But once my child becomes teenage years, once they get sense,
You
and
just
they can
know-
go back and look at me. But daddy, you are doing this thing now.
You just know that you're.
But daddy, you are doing this thing.
You have
Because
excuse
it's even
again.
with my mom now. Like, I know, like, it's weird. Like, my mom now, we're literally twins. That's why we clash all the time. But we're besties. Because it's like, especially now, I start putting 2 and 2 together, like, from her age then. It's like, wait, hold on. You complaining about me? Were you not doing this same thing, Funke? You are doing this thing back in the day.
Not myself, okay.
Like, you are doing this. I love you, mommy. But you are doing this thing back in the day. Like, so I think that's one fear I have is like, because any child can be like that. Like, they become conscious that they start comparing.
Yeah.
And it's like your words now, like, do they mean? So it's like you also have to now, like you say, find that balance. Like, as much as I want to be I want to be very relatable, but there's a boundary. And in the end of the day, you're Nigerian.
Don't
You
get
have
it
a
twisted.
US. See, you go US passport by merit too. Don't like. I'm just going to remind them. Is because of me you have this passport. Your mother may not have it.
Yeah, exactly. So
No.
I agree.
What about
I think for me, the part of fatherhood I'm going to have a problem struggling with would be when they have decisions that you have to agree with or you have to accept.
Have
But
to
you
agree
don't
with.
agree
not
with.
Have
agree
to
with.
agree.
No, so
Have
that
to
you have
agree?
to accept but not agree with.
What do you mean? How to accept?
So let me give an example. Let's say,
Like sexuality.
please. I wouldn't even go as far as
No,
sexuality.
let's talk. Before you do, let's talk about it.
No, I
Because
wouldn't
whether
even-
we like it or not, that's actually
Yes, I wouldn't even go as far as sexuality because sexuality is still.
No,
you know,
I want to
You
revisit
can still
that.
say it's a very, but I will say something that. So my daughter coming and saying that she is in love with this 60-year-old man. Honestly, I don't know how I'm going to handle it. I really don't know. Like I can't picture.
no.
But that's the thing. You see, she'll be at
But
the age
how
where.
old would your daughter be at this
So
point?
let's say my daughter is 22.
No.
And she's in love with a 60-year-old man. You have to let her love. No,
That's what I'm saying. So
you have to let the ship sail.
Do you know what? No, the reason I say that is because I think something like that. Again, because we be relatable, I'm gonna show you the game. Okay, baby, you love him, right? This is the pattern of what's going to happen. And I'm telling no, because
You have to let's see.
no
no matter how you fight it, she's going to do it.
Experience
She's going to do it how she wants to.
If she happens to love a 60-year-old guy, you don't approve. Fair.
But you have
Things
to
that
let
they have
it,
to learn
yeah.
these things
because
and
if you don't let it,
experience
she
them
will still
themselves.
find a way to make
Or maybe
it
she'll be
happen.
sneaking out the house behind you. You have to
Exactly.
go and sleep in a
Unless we
60-year-old
literally
man's
sit
house.
down, like say, what about, like, that's what I said, because some parents won't have those uncomfortable conversation. I will have that uncomfortable okay, what do you actually love about him? How did this start? Like, I want to know the details so I can start to process it in terms of, because like you say, if I just go and say, no, this will happen, I don't know it from your perspective. So I have to respect that from my daughter. Like, okay, let's talk about it. But at the end of the day, once you say your side, I'm going to take your side and put the realistic side and compare and say, babe, this is one of the two ways this thing is going to end out like. Because she won't know the end results, while us, most likely,
But what about if it ends up good?
But now, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. So, we keep forgetting the fact that kids are going to constantly be thinking this man doesn't know anything. Let me tell you why. When I was younger, there was one time my dad put me on some very. In fact, when I went back to it, I'm like, this man is a bad man. I was a teenager. In fact, I think I was 13 at the time. So I had this best friend back in White Sands, and he had an older sister.
Shout out White Sands.
Shout out. And he had an older sister in Lagoon. Now, we were in GS3 then. She was in SS2. Now, this is me. I don't know Jack. I'm still just struggling to know what the concept of girlfriend is, right? And, I mean, obviously, I know what a fine babe looks like. But what to do with a fine babe, I had no idea. And so I had this... His sister was fine, but, you know, at the same time, it's like, just fine from afar. Obviously, and then I'm thinking she's even older than me. How? There's no... One day, my dad sat me down because I had just come back from his house late. So my best friend, so I used to hang out at his house a lot. Maybe from school, I'll go to his place, then come back home a little late. Then one day he sat me down. He was like, shout out to you, by the way. Love you, my dad. Happy Father's Day to you as well. Big one at that. We'll even get to that. So yeah, so he sat me down and he said, this man said, so what's going on between you and your friend sister? I'm like, huh? My heart was even out of disgust. Like, she's older than me. What do you mean what's happening? Like, she's like 3 years older than me or 2 years older than me. He was like, that doesn't mean anything. That's
like, shoot your shot, boy.
It was not like that. You guys have not done anything, not even BJ. And I said, what's BJ? I said, what's BJ? You know, I explained. He said, when you know she put her mouth. I said, she's older than me. He said, that doesn't mean anything. Like, the age. So it took me, I think it took me about maybe like 5 years of experiencing life to be like, hold on. This guy was telling me this at 13.
No, imagine you fast track.
Now imagine me then. I was thinking, what is this man? What's he talking about? Do you understand that she's older than me? Ew. It was later. I said, okay.
You've been here before.
Now imagine you telling your daughter, this is the game, this is this, right? She's gonna take it, right? She's gonna listen to it. But she's gonna be listening to it with the fact that, yeah, but you don't really know anything.
Depends on the I get you're not wrong, but as I said, depends on your relationship. Because funny enough, you saying that, it's like for me, I've always just been surrounded by older people, so it's like I take their word for it. But then obviously, with my own nature now, I'll question. Until I see the experience. Like you saying that now, reminds me of the story about
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like my dad now, like the reason I knew I was always going to be okay with women is because of him. Because back in the day, my parents were divorced, right? So my mom lived in Atlanta, my dad lived in Denver. So every summer, every Christmas, I'll go stay with my dad. My dad 1 year, for a few years, was dating this actress, one yellow bone actress. I can never forget this woman. Oh my God. Like
I was crushing on his.
See,
It was crushing on his dad.
I know, Miss Prodigy. That's why I said I knew I was okay from early because I was like, because I'm like, I remember I went to go visit him one time. Like every time I was visiting, he was single at that point, right? And she's like, yeah, I have this new girlfriend, all that. I just moved into her house. Huh? It's like no, well, he was paying all the stuff.
Yeah,
like,
no, I mean obviously, but the concept there was,
bro. This lady lived in like this 5-bedroom mansion in Denver. So me every summer, every Christmas I was there, I was living and all that. So I remember now, I'll never forget this time. There was a girl that lived in the neighborhood, Melissa. She was black and Hispanic. So I remember like I had a big crush on her and all that. So I went to go tell my dad, like, yeah, there's this girl I like, all that. What should I do and all that? The guy said, be yourself. I said, Dad, what?
I said, what
kind
of game is that?
I'm like 13. I'm like, yo, what game is like, just be yourself. I'm like, how's that going to work? He's like, look at me.
And then you'd be like, oh,
the guy said, look at me. And then I looked at his babe, looked at his situation. I said, you know what? And from that day, that's not like, so that's why I said, like, it depends.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, I've always looked at older people like, I like hearing information from them. Doesn't mean I'll take everything you say is fact, but at least I know there's an experience you had that I can maybe apply to me. Like, okay, if I try this in my own way, it could work. If it doesn't work, hey, fair enough. At least I tried it, but maybe there's something I can take from it.
Yeah. So I mean, so how about you? Like, how was your relationship with your dad in particular? Because you've told us about the part where they let you go out. But did you have times where maybe like your first girlfriend, you'd be like, dad, there's this babe I'm dating now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
like
She's
you talk
not.
to women about your
Yeah,
I'm
like
actually trying to think far back. I mean, there were situations where, let's say I was dating someone and my dad would then pull me aside and be like, okay, so what's going on? Tell me about this person, that sort of thing. But there wasn't a situation where like I consulted him at the point where
Why
I was
would you
taking
say
it up.
that is though? Why would you say you never consulted
you
him
guys didn't have that
first?
kind of relationship.
I don't know. That's a very fair question. I actually don't know. I just think no, I don't
Can
know.
I ask you
There
guys
was
a
reason.
question? Let me ask, because we always do these kind of segments where it's like, I always say sometimes the upbringing is like different ideologies. So it's like growing up in Yankee, you have that more freedom, liberal.
Yeah, of course.
Compared to
of
Nigeria,
course.
I'm not saying they're not parents that are not
No,
liberal.
no,
but
you're always
understand the
locking
culture.
it. You're always locking
So I'm
it, yeah.
saying for you guys now, do you guys feel as comfortable or as welcome to really have those uncomfortable conversations with your parents? Did you have those did you feel like you could have those uncomfortable conversations with your parents growing up?
So they had to create the platform,
Yes.
right?
They had to create the forum for it
Yeah,
to happen.
they had to.
Otherwise,
They had to.
So, it's like you guys could never just go to them and say, hey dad,
Nah,
this
see,
like,
if I let me tell you, right, it was that day I had that discussion with my dad. That one about my best friend's sister.
oh, the
It
BJ,
was-
the BJ
Yeah,
company.
it was
BJ company.
it was that day that I knew. Nah, this is an OG. I know. Okay,
but beforehand you were like,
beforehand, I was. So you see, the thing is, unconsciously, he's your dad, and then she's your mom, and then there's you somewhere down there, right? They create that wall as Nigerians. I don't even think they know they do that, right? By their instinct of parenting, they create that wall. And so it doesn't allow you think they can think like you do. Because again, I guess it also doesn't help that a lot of our parents, I mean, except for people who were, raised by younger parents, if your parents are like significantly older than you, there's just this, you cannot even understand what I'm talking about. Don't worry
you
about
agree
that.
to this?
Yeah, I think you also need to remember that our parents were born in a different time, man. It's the same way that now you can't even imagine the kind of stuff like our kids will be listening to or our kids will be doing, right? Because it just seems so. Imagine the difference between millennials and Gen Z. Talk less of us and our kids.
Yeah, true. That's
Can you
actually
just put that into
perspective.
context? So now apply that to our parents and us.
Yeah.
So there's that respect, there's that rapport, but I'm not going to be like, oh, there's this girl. So obviously, if it was a situation where my dad heard, oh, I said, oh, this is my babe, then he can now come to me on a private one, like, so what's going on? Who is she? Tell me about her. But I wouldn't be the one to go and be like, oh yeah, I'm dating a new girl. Do you get the difference?
Yeah.
So let me ask you
And
guys a quick
yeah.
follow up to that. So now, in saying that, sort of similar to what we just started with, but since you guys grew up in that way and there's still going to be a generation gap with us and our kids, are you going to create that platform or that boundary from the beginning to let your child come to you to say, daddy, I'm dating this girl, mommy, dad?
So you see, the thing is, my dad, and I'll always say that, if I to summarize it, I want to be the kind of father my dad was to me, because I could say that he could only not open up because my mom was the one that's like, yeah, don't do too much, don't do too much, because she also knew the nature of person he was, and it's like, in fact, all the times I was able to go out nightlife was because he had to be like, let this guy go out. He's already don't worry. Tell your mom I've told you can go out. He knows the risk behind saying that, but it's like, you know what, you're at the age where you need to actually be exposed to this, right? And that created a platform where, so if the first girlfriend I dated, he was the reason I would be able to go to her house to see her, spend time. He would just lend me his driver, like, okay, you know what, take my driver, you can go. My mom wouldn't even know that. In fact, my mom didn't know. Of course, she would have known from my dad, but never from my mom that I had this girlfriend, and I dated her for 4 years.
Oh wow.
So yes, exactly. And you see, that was
But
because
why? That's what I think. That's why I was brought up in Nigeria, because I've never understood that with my friends that grew up in Nigeria. It's like,
Yeah.
I always say, like, to parents, like, it's not better I come and tell you rather you find out from outside, or I'm going to get advice from
Nigeria
outside.
is a different
Yeah, no,
place,
but you see,
so-
another thing I got to learn was also, you see, how they were raised. It also depicts it's not like us that we've been exposed to so many other factors outside how they raised us to define how we want to raise children. If we were more closed up, now we've been exposed to how the other world works, how other parts of the world works, how they reason, so just ways to progress. We've been exposed to progressive thinking a lot more than our parents were. And so it's influenced how we want to be parents. They, on the other hand, were very, okay, they've done it like this. How I teach you is how you should teach them. And that was supposed to just,
yeah.
And so I got to understand that. But you see, in those pockets of people, you still had the ones who were still free-spirited, were still very, liberal in how they were thinking. And that's how my dad was, right? My dad was always So how fun? Do you have a babe? He's that kind of guy. He's the kind of guy who he would even tell you. I remember there was one time I was talking about liking someone that was long distance. He said, bro, so let me tell you, I better forget that thing. Like, it's better to have a baby you can see.
It's true,
See-
but
see-
the guy's
you get-
lying.
As
you
far
can-
as no
you
waste
get-
of time.
You get what I'm saying? And that's what I meant by opening up a floor. Because he then gave me that platform to know that if I want to talk about babe, it's not going to be a father son, it's going to be a guy. And that already shattered whatever wall, he could actually put up. And honestly, I think that for me is what it's going to be. I will try as much as possible to not create that wall between myself and my child.
You know what, random? I feel like this guy already is.
What do you want to say?
The way the guy has answered him, this guy's going to be the kind of popsy that he's trying to go to his boys now. Just be like, can you talk to my dad for me?
yes, I agree. I think my dad was like that
And then
too.
his boys will not call to you as you know you that me and you back in the day.
Yeah,
used to do this
exactly.
thing. I
He
was
will not be like,
like,
oh yeah, you can go out.
But sometimes when some parents are cautious, it's because of how
What they've actually
what they
been
did.
through.
Do you get-
That's what, did you hear Michael saying his past?
So I can
He knows.
imagine you. I mean, I'm assuming your past, anybody's past with girls was whatever it was,
Yes,
right? Now, if you have a daughter, tell me you're not be cautious with her.
Because you already you can see the
Because
guy
you
and
guys
you
know what
the way
you
this
did
guy
to us.
that's
moves.
the thing. So that's already the number one thing. I'm going to be cautious, but not too cautious, because it's those girls you're too cautious with that just
That would
make
end
you
up,
tough.
yes.
So I know that. Now that I said, I know that game.
I think finding the balance
Now,
is really
the
Because
difference-
he has encountered those cautious girls
So
at
that's
his
why I
own
brought
young
up that
age.
first example in terms of
He's like, oh, your daddy said you can't go out.
There's some
Come
things
on, take
you
you
want
out.
to see.
You.
There's some things you want to see. Like there's some girls, like from my experience now that I've dated, that and it's so funny. Have you guys ever, like, obviously before you got married and before we had girlfriends, like, those girls you dated that were like so chilled because they could tell you the things they did with their popsy or the things that popsy introduced them to. Like, for example, there's some
Oh,
girls
yeah,
that were
yeah,
like,
yeah.
my dad and I did this already.
Yeah,
We did this. So it's like it was already a chilled.
Yes.
Pause.
What?
When the guy said, "Oh, all those girls that were so chill because they told you the things they did with their popsy," you're like,
no.
like, yo,
Yeah, I felt like,
I went
let me. I
into
know what
this one.
he's thinking. Please, it can't
Oh,
be
you
that.
mean like-
Let me rephrase, man. Those girls that they had a great relationship with their fathers.
There we
Like,
go,
They talk
yes.
with their fathers, or
Uh-huh.
their fathers showed them things early that even when you're yarning them, they're like, I already know this, I know that. So it's like, okay, I like
something-
this girl.
I have
like,
something to say about this, right? Every time I've experienced someone like that, ironically, it's been with a single father. Ironically, I mean,
Interesting.
this is not saying that only single fathers give their daughters that experience, but every girl I've met that has been given free game by their fathers is because the father was single,
fair.
right, or divorced, right? And because I remember one freshly, even her father still they enter SIP, well, right?
Yeah, I know.
And she would tell, and he would have different babes every now and then. She's seeing what's going on. But he's communicating with her and letting her understand that he's still a single guy. He can still see people. Mommy is not in
The
this
fact
marriage
that she's
anymore.
seeing it now
Exactly.
is like-
But the difference is that she's seeing and understanding the dynamic. Some people see and are blocked out because he still has that Nigerian father in him. He doesn't want her to see. But this guy was letting her see the lifestyle and understand that, look, some guys even my age self, because he will be carrying girls her age.
And guess what? That
You
same girl,
get-
now, you see stuff like that now, that girl be like, I don't want to be one of these young girls.
There we go.
Older men.
Yes,
I've seen it.
exactly.
So that's kind of, I'm not saying I'm going to be chewing you. I have my wife with me and all that. But I'm just saying I'll tell her, like, hey, but one last question because of time and all. But for you now, like, you're married now and we're trying to get to that point. But have you considered the factors of raising your child in Nigeria? Like, is it
very
That's
good
a very
question.
good
is it something you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
do? Is it something you had to think of? Maybe I need to go abroad for
No.
a bit. Because I've been thinking of it a little bit like, which one?
For me, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Right? I grew up in Nigeria. I was raised in Nigeria. I moved away when I was 17. Right? And I turned out okay. Right? I also think the amount of like community and support families have in Nigeria can be taken for granted.
Very true.
Like
Very,
in
very,
England,
very true.
Yankee, do you remember they're paying for maids?
Yeah, independent.
Paying for like is people are dying.
That's
out there
actually a
'cause it's
very
tough,
strong point.
That's very
right?
true.
That's a
But
very
here
strong
you have
point.
like the mom, the grandmas,
The
you have your
aunties,
relatives
the,
Aunties,
that can
uncles,
just jump
cousins.
in. They chill. I remember when we were younger, a lot of times, let's say all our parents, my mom and her sisters, the husbands all go to like a wedding and they all drop all of us in one cousin's house. And we'll all just there be playing, chilling. And that also made all of us closer, right? But if I'm abroad, I'd rather raise you up here and then eventually you go abroad. And there's no rush to like ship you off.
Right. I mean, I hear that.
What about you?
But how do you feel about the instability of the country? Because I feel like, I mean, and let's be honest and frank, how much school fees they talk now? Oh God.
It's not the same as
Oh
before.
God! But you know the irony is for you to even say that, that means the chances of you raising them here are higher, because when you say how much school fees
Is
to
compa-
FX,
well,
it's more expensive
well,
to send.
okay, no, so let's
I
so
can't
let's
lie to- I
no,
can't lie
let's
to- when
put
he
it this
said
way.
that, and I was like, thank God for passport.
No, so let's
They go public
yeah.
school.
So
oh.
let's put it this way, right? In perspective, it's not exactly the same thing, because let's say I move abroad, right, and I decide to raise my children abroad while I'm also living with them abroad. I'll be earning the local income.
Okay, so it's not.
In which case, it's not going to be a bank breaker the way it is if I'm sending him abroad from here, right? So, so basically, if you weigh the options of live abroad, school abroad, as opposed to live in Nigeria, school in Nigeria, it has definitely the pros of the community is a very big plus,
Yeah.
right? Because that's something you won't get there except you live in a community where you actually have other relatives, which are not so high chances, right? If you now then decide to give that up for the structure and the stability of, okay, you know what, you have this school system. Maybe they even tell you that the, school up until they are, in their, up until they are 5 or 6 is free, right?
Yeah.
Because there's that, even they tell you school up until that age is free. You're also looking at the pros of that, because you're thinking, okay. And also, by virtue, they are exposed to more. Look at what kids in the US are doing with the devices they have. So, because there's a lot more they have at their disposal, their brains are opened up a lot earlier.
So,
But
so that's another thing.
something you need to consider is Nigerian schools are doing the same thing now. Like
Stratification of school is what we're talking about now. Yeah, let's
Like
start talking about that, because
Nigerian schools are also
adapting.
Adapt-
to
no,
the-
I
You get-
definitely agree
so
with
I
that,
don't
yeah.
really. So for me, it's not really. I can really agree with what you said
Yeah,
in terms
yeah.
of if you're actually working there, living there, it's easier to pay the school
yeah,
fees.
yeah, yeah.
But I just think, even from an exposure perspective, right, like the amount of. I think they get too old too young, if that makes sense. They get to experience so much.
mean
and
when
so
you're
little
there?
When you're there.
I see what you mean.
But
I see
in
what
Niger,
you
you
mean.
can actually grow up as a kid and progress.
He has a point, though.
So
He
I'm
has a
with
point.
both of you. So
He has
for
a
me,
point.
it's, I'm in the middle, whereby
Yeah, same.
I want my child to be the same as me. So for me, I was born and raised in America, but then
Yeah.
I came to Nigeria when
Somewhere
I
halfway.
was 4.
Okay.
So when I was 4, I came to live with my grandma and my whole family. And that's when I learned about the Nigerian community. Like, my grandma raised me, my aunt raised me, my cousin raised me, my mom was still coming every time to raise me. So I had that community here from 4 till 7. Then when I was 7, I went back to America. That was just me and my mom. But because we're still Nigerian, I was still raised by aunties, uncles there. And, I always joke and say I have so many cousins because they're not like they're blood cousins, but because we all grew up together, we had that community feel. So my mom still made me feel like a Nigerian there. Now, the difference is the foundation I had here from 4 to 7 at Bambi Crash and CTC. Shout out to
Bambi
CTC.
Crash.
I went there, yes. Shout out Bambi Crash. It's like, I want that for my child, where those early years, there's certain foundations I want instilled in my child as a Nigerian that doesn't leave you forever. And I want you to also have that family and community sense from a young age. Then when you're older now, like 8, 9, 10, getting to those ages, maybe I want you to go abroad for a bit, because for me, in America, I feel like I had more freedom as a kid there than here. Because let's look at here now. You look at something even from this aspect of neighborhoods now. In Nigeria, it's in your compound, gated compounds. In America, it's open neighborhoods and all. That you could just go play in the parks, play with different kids. I'm not sure it's the same, obviously, because even America has gotten a bit wilder. But I know for me, back in the day, whatever kids lived in the neighborhood,
You guys are already friends, yeah.
There are places like that in Niger, UPDCSA, Community Violence VGC. There are places.
It's the way this guy started listening. No, but that's what I'm saying.
Not
But how
you
many-
low-key broke
but
shaming
how
the people that
common- But that's what I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing, but how common is it compared to the average?
That's what I was gonna say.
now?
I think-
like
I think-
VGC now. I remember like VGC. I love VGC. Like when I first came back at 16, I was at VGC every weekend because
Yeah,
that was the one
VGC
neighborhood that
Park,
reminded
VGC
me.
Club.
I used to go play basketball
the
there
club,
every
yes,
time because
now.
that reminded me of America, where it's like, oh my God, it's free compared to like Parkview, like that I grew up in now. Parkview, I know they see anybody at
You know what,
all.
I
Some
think-
places that have that.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
we
yeah.
should say. I think what we should say is raising a child with some level of privilege in Nigeria definitely gives you a longer stay, because everything we've said now, we've actually, if we're going to admit it,
Is it
it
place of
comes with
privilege
it.
where-
Because
where saying
because if I
fair,
think about
fair,
it, we've all
fair.
been to the VGC parks and the club. We've all been to UPDC. In fact, I schooled at White Sands. UPDC I was going there every day.
Wait, sorry, what's UP? I
It's
feel like I've heard
so it's
of
an
it.
estate.
estate.
It used to be called Elf Estates at the time back in the day, right? And Then they had this little small shop. Even if you're not going into the estate, you just go to the supermarket.
Yeah.
If you're not going to the supermarket, you have relatives inside the estate that you're going to stay with. My mom had this very close friend. Then I'll just go there, just chill. And they have like a tennis court area. They have a swimming area. So, but again, these are things that come with being a privileged person, right?
So I think that's the only thing I'm like, again, because we're privileged and by God's grace we're going to be successful, that we still are that.
Amen.
In Nigeria, like that's why I said I don't mind doing Nigeria, because I'll have that community feel and that option and choice. But then in America now, like those early years, I might just want them to be there to just get a brighter thought of the world. Because for me, what I noticed in Nigeria, yes, you're still exposed and all, but to what level in Nigeria as a young age? Because it's not like us now in our teenage years and older years that we had freedom to be moving. As a child, is wherever your parents says go. And if you are staying at home, you are staying at home. If there's no driver, there's no driver. There, okay, you can take the bus. The child can still grow up to figure some things out on their own, which has its pros and cons.
Yeah, so
I agree. It has its pros.
I was watching this show on Netflix, Eric. I don't know if you guys have watched it.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen. I know of it, but I haven't
about
seen
this
it
kid on this in New York in the 80s or 70s or something that gets lost, right? And they had to do a whole search party, everything before they found him. Now, you see a lot of those cases abroad because of the freedom the kids have, right? In Nigeria, when kids are getting lost, they were kidnapped from the house by the driver or the maid or something. But like a kid didn't just wander out of the house and get on the train or get on the bus and get lost.
I get right. This guy should kill me.
You need to think of the pros and cons,
right?
But
right?
then, it's like,
it makes sense.
but then what's the point of keeping your child locked in that? Because that's how when I first came back, I remember I felt like a prisoner. Because think about it, you're coming from Yankee that you're free.
Yeah,
you not come tonight. I mean, my compound that has gates, my window has bulletproof or whatever it is now. If there's no driver or no light, I'm just sitting there in the window like, God, one day.
I guess you felt locked in because you came from a free society.
But
but now the idea is, if they're raised up here, this is the standard.
But
for
then
them.
that free
They don't
society,
feel locked
like
in.
what I think, I still, even in that free society, my limit was I know I was Nigerian. My mother instilled that in me from the get-go. You saw these, your American friends. When you go to school, you're American. Once you leave that school, you're Nigerian. Which is like, she already created that boundary in my head. So I feel like that's what I want to do with my child. Like, even on my American, when we used to, like, I remember in my neighborhood now sometimes, people would just go out to, like, the parks to go smoke, go shoot, and all that stuff. You'll see me there. I'll be with them. I will never drink. I will never shoot. Everything because
the consequences.
That and also, but like I would never be the one to do. Like I'll chill with them. Like they're all my close guys. They've been to my house. They come to my house and all. But all of them even respected the fact that, in fact, they even knew my momsy because my momsy was the kind of person you can't go to anybody's house, but everybody can come to your house. So my mom knew all my friends and how they were. But again, they also respected that. Like this guy's mom is African, as they say. So we'll leave that. That's how I want to be with my child. Like if you're in a broad society, you can be free, but know your limit too.
Yeah, no, who's, as they say, know whose child you are.
For me,
Exactly.
For me, what I'll really say is that, and I guess we just use this kind of roundup. I think another thing we're failing to consider is that, again, from the angle of privilege, when we were younger, our parents could travel more frequently.
How do you mean?
So, I mean, from every time I remember, we could at least go to one city every year. Now, regarding that, the exposure part, that was taking care of that, right? Because my parents always felt like, yeah, we should be raised in Nigeria. But that exposure, you will get it. So, no matter what was happening, I would travel maybe every summer and I would see things that my peers are not getting to see. So it's helping my mind open up, right? Yeah. And so it's making me see that, oh, wait, hold on. We don't have this in Nigeria, but this exists. Okay, now I know this exists. It's in my brain. And that's why, you know what, you hear people say things like, oh, yeah, you know, the design of sprites is different in UK, US. There's no way you would know that if you're not actually seen, you know. So or even
but it still comes to a place of privilege, like
exactly. That's why I started by saying privilege. Even the concept of vending machines is so crazy that even till now, Nige doesn't have.
What the fuck?
There you go.
Nige has some vending
machines.
I
swear,
but it's not a culture.
It's not a culture.
You understand,
bro? You don't understand the flashback because I'm like, wait. In elementary school and middle school, we had vending machines.
It was a normal thing.
I've never seen one in Nigeria.
It's the normal thing. So
you
see what I'm saying?
I swear I've never seen one there.
See, the fact that we're even talking about, if you call a Nigerian, if you call
the average Nigerian,
if you call him to the side and say, bro, where have you seen vending machine?
It was in an office I worked in. They had vending machines.
Yeah, so but that's not still the exposure. Yeah. Some people bring the exposure to you from it.
Is crazy.
And so, you see, now it's more difficult for us to travel now Bro, do you know how much it is to travel?
One
No,
time.
you're not traveling by yourself. Oh. You carry your wife, your child.
kids. So I think one thing we just need to pray for is God. Let's be able to afford
Also,
more options.
yes. I
Because
feel like
that's really what it comes down to.
yeah, I think if
man.
it's affordable, it's actually a lot
Wow, when
easier
you
to
actually
raise your
think-
child.
And then there's one more thing we didn't think about too. As much as we're saying this is our wives. Because it's very easy to talk shit now.
yeah, but yeah.
But all of us know that when you have a woman, your mumu button just the like me now.
If she decides that this is where we should raise it, you just be like, okay.
Like
so
me now,
my wife said we
like
should
my
do this.
babe now has already started saying, okay, we're gonna have a tag team partnership with our church. That I said, tag team. If I want to,
What a exciting partnership.
as in, so it's like in the end, like any decision with like our kids or something will always come together, or we always have to. It can't be dad said this, mom said this. I'm like, shit, fine, but there's some I'm like, there's some situations they're gonna come to me. I'm like, I'll handle your mother.
Yeah. Because there's sometimes you know that your wife, who is their mom,
It's like I always just
would
say,
not
like
handle
if I had
some things.
my parents, because they divorced so early, like I always used to say, like sometimes like, damn, if my pops was around, I know there's some shit my mom would not be able to hold me on.
Yeah,
Like,
because you'd be like,
first,
Dad, you understand.
because it's you. Like it comes
Yeah.
with pros and cons too. Because when you have a single mom too, you have there's still the pros,
Of
the
course,
freedom.
yeah,
but
of course,
like
yeah.
this guy said, at the end of the day, you just have to pray to God that God sets you up financially and in a good place, that you have the right people that it can work. So
Yeah.
obviously, because of time, again, thank you, Toby, for coming on. We appreciate you. You have any
Yes, we do.
self plugs again?
Visit www.liquor.ng or liquor.ng.
Does that
on
mean we're getting free
Instagram.
drinks every week? Not for
Does
me.
that mean?
No,
Does
no,
that
no,
mean?
I'll discuss it with you guys behind the scenes.
No, see, didn't.
But yeah, visit www.liquor.ng or liquor.ng on Instagram and Twitter to get free your alcohol delivered for free within 30 minutes. Authentic. This
That's
whole
that's the key
pandemic,
one. Authentic.
I'm not saying this because I know him. I'm saying this because at this point, you people owe me drinks. So, because I am a loyal customer,
No,
I know
he's
how many
very
of my
loyal.
house parties I
Very
have just
loyal.
said, I bet Toby, if he sent 3 bottles, I bet.
And
it has come on time.
And then you can vouch to how authentic the
They
drinks are.
came on. I won't lie to you. They come on time, so
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
And they also come original because what we are selling in Nigeria these days.
That's
it's-
another story.
That's another story.
That's another story. That's another episode.
Exactly.
All right, but
Yeah.
again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We appreciate you guys. This is Menisms. My name is Michael Shanario,
And I'm Moro Wagunkoya.
and we'll see you next time on Menisms.